Hey there, everyone. Welcome to today's Splunk Tech Talks for the platform. We once again thank you for taking some time out of your day to join us as we go through the latest and greatest info we want to share here at Splunk. So for today's topic, we're looking at entering the agentic era with Splunk AI Assistant for SPL 1.4. For those of you that haven't had the chance, we recently released the latest update for Splunk AI Assistant for SPL. And today we're going to take a bit of a dive into some of the new features and updates to the various AI skill sets we've included with this release. Now, just a quick heads up, while much of today's content will cover information that is already active and out there within this release, we do have a couple things we're going to talk about near the end of the presentation that are going to be for some future updates we have planned for AI Assistant. So bear in mind that, again, a lot of this is forward-looking, and some things may change in the final release when we get to that point. So I'll start by turning things over to my co-host Mohit to give himself an introduction.
Hey, Cody. Thank you very much. Thank you all for joining. My name is Mohit. I'm a product manager in the Splunk AI team. I'm the product lead for AI Assistant for SPL, and very excited to talk to you guys about all the new capabilities that we have added in the new release.
Thanks, Mohit. And for myself, my name is Cody Sugg. I am the Staff Product Marketing Manager for AI Assistant for SPL here at Splunk. Again, excited to get a chance to share some of this information with everyone today. So before we get into the presentation proper, just want to get a quick poll just to gauge some info here. Are you actually currently actively using Splunk AI Assistant for SPL? So if you just take a moment or two to let us know whether you're currently a user, you've used it before, or maybe you've never actually had a chance to use Splunk AI Assistant for SPL. Just, again, we'll give you a few seconds here to respond to the poll. Give another 20 seconds here, and then we'll see what our results are. All right, looks like a good number of you have now responded, so let's see what our results are. Okay. So it looks like we've got some users that are in the audience that are active users, a few of you that have tried things before, but it looks like the bulk of you today have not actually used Splunk AI Assistant for SPL. So that's totally fine. While we'll do some technical dives in a couple of features that exist in the Assistant, we'll do a quick overview of what Splunk AI Assistant for SPL is. I don't know if it's just me. Is this slide showing up for you okay right now, Mohit?
Yep, this is the overview slide with the 4 bullet points.
Sorry, it was showing up a little odd for me for a second. Anyway, so for those that have never had a chance to use Splunk AI Assistant for SPL, this is our product that is now powered by some generative AI, and it takes the natural language input or prompts to generate SPL so that you can create things like charts and dashboards quickly. It'll also take something like an SPL query and explain it to you in pretty quick, simple English. This can be really useful when you have a colleague who maybe isn't around or available, and you're trying to figure out what they might have been working on recently, and you want to stay ahead and document that SPL for future analysis. Additionally, AI Assistant also lets you search product docs to answer any questions you might have about Splunk products that you might be using or things you want to find out more about in general as it relates to various Splunk products. In addition to this, AI Assistant for SPL is designed to help you improve your overall productivity and get things done faster and more efficiently. So maybe you need to create a new dashboard or troubleshoot an issue. With AI Assistant, you can spend more time thinking about the problem and the technology itself by using things like natural language to prompt the AI Assistant to generate SPL and get you started more quickly. AI Assistant can also help your team stay ahead. So maybe you have a coworker again that's on a break, and you want to understand their SPL build, but it's a little too complex. AI Assistant can translate that SPL to natural language so you can fine tune it for whatever use case or document scenario you might be working on. It also lets you chat with your data. Analysis is an iterative process, so you can chat with the AI Assistant to generate SPL and drill down into your Splunk data for a deeper level of insights into what you're seeing in that data. And whether you're new to SPL or a seasoned pro, AI Assistant for SPL kind of helps you with that process. So if you're a new user, you can quickly start learning some of the ins and outs of Splunk and become an expert that much faster. So for today's talk, we're going to take a bit of a dive into some of the most recent updates we have around the core skills in this release of Splunk AI System for SPL. We're going to go over some of the Agentic AI framework that's been introduced, talk a little bit about search optimization, some of the external LLMs that are now available to use with Splunk AI System for SPL, and Mohit will also give you a preview of what's coming next. I'm going to turn things over to Mohit as we take a dive into Agentic AI frameworks.
Thanks, Cody. And yeah, since a lot of you have not used AI Assistant before, I think now is as good a time as any to actually jump into it, since we've actually improved the capabilities significantly since maybe you last heard about it, especially in this new release where we have actually incorporated an agentic response generation into the AI Assistant for SPL. I did see some comments about the audio or the visuals not coming in right. Please let us know in the chat if that is the case, and we'll fix it. Cool. So I'm going to jump into the biggest change that we have made in the AI Assistant in the 1.4 release. So if you had used the AI Assistant before, since till version 1.3.2, what you see on the left side, it used to have these 3 tabs corresponding to the skills that Cody had talked about earlier. So one tab for writing SPL, another tab for explaining SPL, and the third tab for like general product questions. One of the feedbacks that we got through ideas.splunk.com was, hey, I don't want to have to like choose these things. Just give me all the capabilities in a single chat. Allow me to use them, a combination of skills in the single chat, make it all multi-turn. So we've taken that feedback in the new version of AI Assistant for SPL. What you would notice is that the tabs are gone. There's only one single chat window, and you can access all of the AI Assistant capabilities in that single chat. You can mix and match. It's all multi-turn and conversational. I still see some comments in the chat that the content is maybe not rendering for them correctly. Maybe if someone wants to respond in the chat, maybe give some suggestions on troubleshooting this. But it does seem to appear fine on my end. I think a lot of people are able to see, so I'll just keep continuing. But yeah, maybe we'll try to help over the chat. And apologies for these technical issues. All right, let's further up, right? Removing the tabs is just one thing. And thanks, Martin. So yeah, looks like if you reload the tab, maybe it works. So please give that a shot. So beyond making the response generation agentic is not just about removing the tabs. That's just what we call as intent understanding, which is someone types, you have to figure out what their intent was and maybe adjust the workflow to that intent. But agentic response generation goes beyond just that. What it means is that if a user can type a fairly complex, sophisticated prompt, and the AI assistant should be able to reason through that prompt. And what reasoning means is you take that prompt and just like a human would do, you break it into smaller pieces. You create a plan on how I would answer this question. So reasoning requires selecting what tools I should use. And the AI assistant has access to a few different tools. We'll keep adding more tools. And then it starts executing that plan. And what executing the plan means is it starts calling those tools. It can also adjust the plan as it gets the response or the output of each tool. So it can adjust in real time. And then it's sort of synthesizing the output of all of these tools to give you a nice coherent answer, but along with the explainability, right? So if I go next, it gives you better transparency into what the AI assistant is doing and why it's doing. So you understand why this specific response was generated. And this is good for 2 reasons, right? A, it builds that trust. So you see what's going on. And then in case it got something wrong, you actually know why it got it wrong. And then you could ask a follow-up question and ask it to course correct. So we believe that more transparency is always good to improve the user experience, gives a lot more power to our users and builds that trust with them, right? So in this example, yep, you see the reasoning, tool calling, explainability, and all of that goes into generating the final response. And if you've used a deep research mode in any AI tool, you might have noticed something similar there as well, where you can choose to go as deep as you want. If you don't want to see the intermediate output of tools, you can just hide them, or you can expand them to understand more. So we want to give the users all the transparency and improve the generation of the response quality. So what does it mean in real world? So there are 2 main metrics that we in the Splunk AI team really want to optimize for. And we measure these two metrics continuously, week over week. We're obsessing over these two metrics. And the two, and it's a large set of metrics, but these are the two main metrics that I want to talk about today. So the first metric is what we call parse rate. And what means is how many times did we generate syntactically correct SPL. Now, SPL is a very powerful language, but it's also gives you a lot of flexibility. There are many ways of doing something right. It's often very, very dependent on the environment where the SPL is being generated. So we don't, it's very hard to guarantee that it'll be 100% it'll always execute, but we always want to strive close to 100%. So that's one metric we really track, is how many times are we providing syntactically correct SPL. By the way, this is true for other code generation tools as well. If you're using Codex or let's say Windsurf or any other code generation tool, none of them can guarantee 100% parse rate, but the goal is always to strive towards getting towards 100%. And the second thing we do is we like to measure the overall response quality, especially for SPLs. And then there are three main dimensions to this overall response quality, which is A, did we understand the intent of the user correctly? So did they want us to write a new SPL? Did they want us to optimize an existing SPL? Did they want us to explain SPL? Did they want to just learn how to do something in Splunk? So there's that intent understanding part. B, semantic correctness, right? So whatever we interpreted, did we actually follow the correct semantics in that response? And the third one is completeness, because Splunk is very powerful. You can ask very complex questions, and you could generate SPLs that have tens or 20s or 100 like sub queries. So the third main metric is, did we answer the question incompletely, or was it a partial answer? So these are three main metrics that go into this overall response quality, or three main dimensions, apologize. And so when we look at these two metrics, we compared the previous version, which is also not that old. So using the previous version as the baseline, what we observe is about 15% improvement if you allow AI Assistant to use all models, versus about 10% increase if you allow it to only use Splunk hosted models. And I'll talk briefly about what this means in the next slide. But this is a setting that you can control, and these are the numbers. These are just the improvements based on the previous version. So the previous version was just released in October. So just in that 1 month period, we see this increase. If the last time you used AI Assistant for SPL was a long time ago, let's say 6 months or even older than that, I highly encourage you to update to the latest version, because it has really come leaps and bounds. There's been a lot of improvements. And just to show you some examples, here are some example searches, and just comparing the current version to the version before. What you can see is, A, we have improved the retrieval of this index and source type. So one of the biggest powers of benefits of using AI Assistant for SPL compared to, let's say, a ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot is AI Assistant for SPL has this feature called personalization. And if you turn that on, it actually learns about the data that's there in your environment, and it can use that data to accurately fill out the index and source type informations, which just means that you can execute that query much faster. Right? Like, you don't have to make these changes. It just improves your productivity. So one of the things that we have made a lot of improvements in accurately selecting what index and source type should be used for a specific prompt. And that's what the first example is showing here. The second big improvement is in improving the parsability, right? So I mentioned that parse rate numbers. So we want the SPLs to be more executable, more parsable, and not make these mistakes. So improvement in that. And the third thing is, because there is this new agentic response generation, it is now capable of handling a lot more complex prompts, right? So here you see this, it's a pretty long prompt. It's asking it to do a few different things. It's not as straightforward, and it's now able to handle these complex prompts as well, especially if you turn on the all models. And see, there's a question in the chat. I'll cover that section very shortly. But overall, when AI Assistant was first launched, I think it was only good at like doing very basic searches, and which meant that it was only very useful for very novice users. But over time, we've been improving the capability of the AI Assistant, right? So just imagine AI Assistant being like a new team member who is new to Splunk, and initially in the older versions, it was only able to write like simple queries, and over time, the AI Assistant is getting better. A lot of it is based on customer feedback, ideas that you guys send us, and it's getting better, just like an employee would. So over time, you'll see it being able to handle a lot more complex examples. All right. So talking of complex examples, another big idea that was highly voted idea that was shared to us on ideas.splunk.com was that they, especially the admins, wanted AI assistant to be able to optimize inefficient, poorly written searches. You might have a lot of new users in your organization. They're probably writing a lot of searches with wildcards. They don't know commands like tstats. So they're not writing searches as efficient as they can be, which just means that those searches are running longer and they're costing a lot more SVCs for you. So there is a new tool for the Agentic AI assistant to use, which is to optimize an SPL. So a purpose-built tool that specially just optimizes SPLs, especially the inefficient ones, right? So here's an example, right? You can put an inefficient search in this case, and the AI assistant will try to apply the best practices. So in this case, it's using the tstats command, because any of you who are on the call who are expert at SPL, you would know that tstats is a really powerful command, but a lot of new users don't know about it. So it's able to convert the optimizer query, give you a different query while using the tstats command. So it's applying these best practices, but it is applying it in the context of your environment, because when you use the tstats command, it needs to know which fields are indexed. So it needs to know that information, and it does that. Again, I mentioned the personalization setting earlier. For this optimization to work, you do need to opt into that personalization setting, because that information is critical for AI assistant to optimize the searches. This new tool is generally available now. You should take advantage of it, especially if you have a lot of novice users in your organization. And if you're an evangelist, if you're an admin, I think a lot of these things are also about educating your users. So you should tell them that, hey, AI assistant can do these things for you, especially if you find users routinely running inefficient searches. This might be a good nudge to give them to use AI to improve. Here are some stats that we observed. So we do these rigorous offline evaluation. We created a large query set, 100 plus queries. We created a stack which was representative of a real customer stack, and we ran these queries. So we asked AI assistant, hey, take these 100 plus queries, optimize them for you, and then we ran the original search, and then we ran the optimized search, and we tried to compare, right? So the good news, right? Especially on really bad searches. So if you looked at the searches that were in the 75th percentile of execution time, it can reduce the execution time by as much as 25%, which is huge. All of this directly translates into SVC savings. It translates to shorter execution times. The other big thing to consider is that this is not compile time deterministic optimization, right? Because we already do that. Splunk already does that in the background. This is going above and beyond that. It's trying to understand the intent of what the original query was trying to do, and it's giving you a functionally equivalent search by understanding what you're trying to do and giving you a search that will run faster for sure. It may not have exactly the same results that you're looking for, but maybe you didn't need all those columns. Maybe you didn't need everything that was there in the original search, which was making it slow. So we are actually trying to infer these things and giving you a functionally equivalent search. But it is important to know how similar is it to the original search. And on both of those, we have these two metrics to measure that. And on both of those two metrics, it's doing better than using GPT-4o, using ChatGPT, where it's giving you a result which is a search that's much similar to the original search while being significantly faster. So yeah, highly encourage you to use that. Here are some more examples of optimization. The first one, again, makes sense to use the tstats in this query because it'll run much faster. The second one is actually making it more readable. There's unnecessary, it's reducing the number of pipes and also making it faster at the same time. Would be very, very curious to see if you use it, please provide us feedback. The AI assistant has in-product feedback, thumbs up, thumbs down. If you like the response of the optimization, please let us know. What it does is it'll learn from those feedbacks and it'll actually incorporate these things better in the future. If it's doing something wrong, even more important for you to give us a thumbs down so we can learn and make things better. But yeah, would love to see how our customers use it and find more examples of good optimized searches. Maybe I'll take some questions now. So I think how many times is it giving syntactically correct SPL? Good question. It does vary, but right now our metric is around 80%. And some of it is just because I'll talk about some things in the coming next section. But today, the AI assistant for SPL, for example, doesn't know about macros and lookups, and we are adding that capability, and it'll come in the January release. So there are some things that are missing in the AI assistant today, which reduces the parsability numbers, but these things are definitely coming up in the upcoming releases, and I'll talk about it in the last section. All right, I think there was a lot of questions around what is all models versus Splunk hosted models. So up until the last release, AI Assistant for SPL only used models hosted inside Splunk infrastructure in Splunk Cloud Services. These are models that we fine-tuned, we improved. We took some open source models, and when we made them better, we tuned them for SPL use cases, and they do pretty well. And we've constantly been improving it as the general open source models improve in the academia and the industries. We constantly try out these new models. We do a lot of hyperparameter tuning. We fine-tune these models. We improve the RAG, the retrieval augmented pipeline. Associated with these models, we do a lot of prompt tuning. So these models keep getting better as well. But now the administrators have this choice that they can allow us to also use models hosted outside of Splunk, which are in this case hosted in Azure OpenAI. So these are still compliant and in encrypted endpoints. So your data is not getting leaked. Your data is not being used to train any models. But what this allows us to do is if someone asks a very, very complex prompt, which requires not just knowledge about Splunk, but not general knowledge about the world, right? So just as an example, if someone asks these questions that, hey, is this normal or abnormal in CloudTrail logs? I'm seeing this like latency issues. Some of these things are the bigger frontier models that are hosted in Azure OpenAI. They just know more about this general knowledge about the world. And we notice in our offline evaluation is that we are able to give better responses for these complex prompts and specific use cases if the model has access to these external models. And we decide, so the good thing about all of this is that the customer doesn't have to provision or set up any of this. We take care of all of that. We can decide when to use which model. We try to use the Splunk hosted LLMs as much as possible, and we only use the external LLM where it's needed for a specific prompt. So here's another option. It's not turned on by default because we do want the administrators to have the control. So if you do want to turn it on, you would have to update to the AI Assistant for SPL version 1.4. You'll see this in the setting. It's called, actually, in fact, I apologize. It's generally available now, so it won't say preview. It'll just say model runtime. And then what you would have to do is you would have to turn on the first radio button where you're saying that you're allowing Splunk to determine the best model for this outcome. And this is all you need to do. Just because I'm on the settings, let me just quickly say, I mentioned personalization earlier. This is what we mean. This is a setting. Highly encourage you to turn this on. When you have personalization, it significantly improves the research response quality. And I'll reiterate again, none of this data is used to train a model. It's only used to improve the relevance of the response. And none of all of the personalization data is only used to improve the relevance of the response for your specific Splunk deployment. So the data is not mixed with other customers or other stack data. And we fully honor our back, even at the user level. So if a user doesn't have access to an index, we will not use that index to generate an SPL. And then the first one, I still encourage you to turn that on. It's totally up to you. It doesn't change the product quality. But if you do share the AI service data, when you provide this feedbacks to us, we just use this information manually to analyze why we might have made a mistake, and it just helps in making the product better. Again, none of this data is used to train a model. I'll jump in quickly to the next slide. Cody? Oh, Cody, I can't hear you.
Would help if I take myself off mute. So before we dive into the next section where we are going to give you guys a bit of a demonstration of everything Mohit just talked about, had another quick poll for everyone here. So obviously now we're all using AI in a myriad number of ways in our daily lives and at work. So we're just also sort of curious, what other sort of AI tools are you currently using for work? So to just choose any of these that you are currently using, and then we'll see what the results look like. Also, as someone in our comments pointed out, none is another option I should have included here in hindsight. Thank you that's a good call. I know that some of you don't have either the option to use certain AI tools, or you may have certain restrictions. So small oversight on my part, and I apologize for that. It looks like a good number of folks have given their answers. So let's see what everyone's currently using. So it looks like we've got a lot of folks currently out there using both Copilot and ChatGPT. Makes sense. They've been two bigger names in the field right now, and I know there's obviously a lot of other products that are using major integrations with them. It's also really interesting to see that a lot of you are currently using some internal and custom tools. So always interested to see and learn more about what sort of things folks are using on their own internal side of everything. So Mohit, your keyboard typing is coming through the chat there.
I apologize. I'll mute myself.
All good. So we talked a lot about this most recent version for Splunk AI Assistant. So we want to also take a moment to kind of show you some of the other places where this assistant's currently available. So if you have recently updated Splunk Cloud to version 10.1, you may already be familiar with the fact that AI Assistant is now integrated inside Search and Reporting. So the Search and Reporting app now lets you search your data, create data models and pivots, and save those searches as pivots and reports, configure those alerts, and then take that data and transfer that into dashboards. So again, all this is available by default. If you haven't had a chance to try this out in Cloud 10.1 yet, we recommend you give it a shot. Additionally, for those of you that haven't had a chance to try this yet, another integration of what we've included AI Assistant in is via our MCP server. So again, I'm sure there's a lot of the audience that are familiar with MCP, but for those that aren't, it is short for Model Context Protocol. And what that is an operating standard and framework that enables a sort of seamless, secure, and standardized two-way communication point between AI applications, things like existing large language models, and external data sources or tools. Think of it as kind of a universal adapter that lets AI systems access, execute, and integrate functionalities from a whole diverse myriad number of systems through a common simple protocol that simplifies the data sharing and tool interoperability process without the need to custom code for everything. We have Splunk's Model Context Protocol server, which leverages all of that to provide a standardized, secure, and scalable interface to connect AI assistants, agents, and other intelligent systems with data and the Splunk platform for both enterprise and cloud customers. This is currently a feature that's in beta. I'll talk a little bit more about some stuff for MCP here near the end of this presentation. So if you're interested in learning a bit more about that, I have great news for you. Now, some of you may have had the opportunity to either attend .conf earlier this year, or maybe you saw a lot of the information that came out afterwards. But one of the bigger announcements we had during that time was for AI Canvas. This is going to be a data exploration and AI insights collaboration feature that we'll have, or it's not feature, toolset we'll have coming out, and it will have AI Assistant generate charts in real time for faster troubleshooting and act as a single canvas for cross-domain, be it NetOps, SecOps, IT collaboration. Also, we'll note that for those that are interested, we currently have an opportunity for AI Canvas in our Splunk preview program. So if you are interested in trying this out for yourself, we can share some information about being able to join in for a current alpha we have available. So again, we'll also have some more information we're going to be sharing about AI Canvas in the coming months here, so look forward to it. Well, I'm going to turn things back over to Mohit, who will now give you a demo of all of the features that he has discussed here for SPL, or that's Splunk AI Assistant for SPL 1.4. Back to you, Mohit.
Thanks, Cody. Let me share my screen to show you some demos. And why I'm bringing this up, both those things that Cody talked about, the AI Canvas and the Splunk MCP server, they'll all have the capabilities that are part of the AI assistant for SPL. So you can use, for example, the AI assistant for SPL's SPL generation capability inside through MCP server in your own custom agentic apps. So yeah, we don't want you to, we want you to be able to use the capabilities of our AI wherever you want them to use. One such example here is with starting Splunk Cloud 10.1, you will be able to use the AI assistant for SPL right inside the search and reporting app. So once you update to 10.1, you'll see this nice pop-up, which will say that this AI assistant is now available. You can click on it. And then some of those capabilities that we talked about earlier will be available right here for you. So you can ask it to, so let's say you're having a security issue, you want to know, you suspect that maybe someone changed the AWS security groups. You don't know how to write SPL, you can go and ask it here. It explains. The best thing is, this is the part that I was talking about earlier in the agentic response generation. It does a really good job in explainability. So it's telling you why it's selecting the specific data type, why it's creating the specific filters. It's giving you a lot more context about this SPL, and it's giving you this SPL. Now, it is possible that you may have wanted to, it's fully conversational, it supports multi-turn. Maybe you wanted the oldest events first. You can just ask it, hey, actually modify this, give me the oldest events first. It will take that information and rewrite the query. If this looks right to you now, and by the way, we're not executing the search, so we always give the user, the human in the loop, the opportunity to validate these things, and then once they think this is right, they can click this button. You don't have to change the tabs; it just opens right up there and then you can just execute that search. So huge productivity improvements. The search is getting executed. You can see now the security groups and then who changed them and when. Again. Let's say you don't know what this event name actually means. It's fully conversational. You can mix and match all the tools. So this is more of a tell me more or a general product question. You can ask what is authorized security group ingress and give you that answer, right? So you understand now what is going on. One thing to note is that because this AI assistant is very conversational, it's taking into account all the chats that happened before it in the session. So if you want to change the topics, what we advise is, instead of using the same session, create a new session for every session, just so that the responses are not biased by the previous chat if you're starting a new topic. So in this case, let's say now you're interested in failed AD logins, separate topic, you can start there. Again, it will run the whole agentic response generation, give you the answer. You can access the chats here. So these are the sessions that you have. You can go back to the previous session if you want. But yeah, it's good to have one session per topic. And let's say if you didn't like, let's say you did not like this and you hit a thumbs down button, it allows you to do that. And then you can give it why it was wrong. So you can say it's incorrect. You can provide why something is bad. This is all very important because generative AI can make mistakes. So if you provide this feedback, it helps the AI assistant become smarter and not make those mistakes in the future. So both positive and negative feedbacks are very, very useful. All right. Let's say if we start another chat, just so you know, there are these suggested prompts. If you have a user who has not used a lot of AI tools, they want to know what the capabilities of the AI assistant are, they can go look at these suggested prompts. This is a good example. A lot of people don't know what data is available to them. This is a suggested prompt that used a lot. And again, just tells them what data they have easily and just helps them get started much faster. We talked about optimization earlier, and let's say you wanted to find out data about all the source IPs that start with 74.*. This will be a slow query just because the index name and everything is not specified. So instead of doing that, what you could do is you can start a new chat here with the AI assistant, and you can say, actually, you know what, optimize this query for me. And what it does is, it'll look at your data, it'll figure out, you know what, we should scope down this search to actually this index, right? Because this is where this source IP is present. And what this means is just like it's going to be a search that runs much faster. So this is an optimized search. And instead of running that original search, which will take a long time, you can run the optimized search, which will run in no time. And it's only scanning 405 events instead of I don't know how many events it would have scanned otherwise. As Koti mentioned, the AI assistant has also the capability to explain existing searches. So let's say you have this, someone shared this search with you, you don't know what it is doing, there was no documentation. You can paste that search here. The AI assistant will explain what's going on. So it starts with, hey, here, there's a macro, it's using this macro. There are these filters. And then if you go to the bottom, it just basically gives you a nice crisp summary of what this search is doing. Again, really useful for new users. And the last thing was general product questions. You can go to tell me more and you can say, what are lookups and how can they be useful, right, for a security analyst? Just a general product question, it'll give you that answer. So you don't have to go through product documentation and look for these things manually. Just quickly jumping into some more demos. I just recorded them literally this morning, so it's fresh off the press. So let me share my screen again. Hopefully you can see. So this is the new Agentic experience inside the standalone app. So as I mentioned earlier, you won't see any tabs. So you update this, there's no tabs that you have to select. And let me just go through this demo that I recorded this morning. No tabs. You can go and just go to the settings. If you are the administrator, then highly encourage you to select the first option here. This is the option that allows us to use all the models and not just use the Splunk hosted models. And then make sure that the personalization is turned on here. And you can always change these settings whenever you want. No issues with that. And let's say we start a new chat. Let's say I have this search. I want to know what's going on. It'll give me that explanation. And this is where that tool calling and explainability is going on. So here it's doing that explainability for you. It's telling you what are the sources and whatnot. Now, this search was just maybe a search that you found off the internet, and it's actually not part of your environment. And you actually, let's say, don't have that index access logs. You can just ask the AI, hey, actually, I do not have this index. What index should I be using in my environment? So hopefully a common scenario where you find these SPLs from the internet, but they're not really written for your environment. You can go and paste them and ask the AI to actually, and here it's doing that tool calling. It's calling the personalization data tool. It's retrieving what's there and it's telling you, you know what, you could probably use this index and source type if you're interested in this example. And let me actually share one other demo quickly before I hand it over to Koti. All right. So hopefully you can see my screen again. Another example, let's say this is around optimization. So I found this SPL. I want to know just a list of source IPs. And I have this SPL. It is explaining what this SPL is doing. It's telling me that, hey, this source type, what it usually has. It's telling me, so it's explaining that data to me, which is really useful. So I know what these source types are for. But then once this SPL is there, you could ask something that's maybe more than one task. So in this case, what I was going to do in this demo is I'll ask it to, and you'll just see it in a second, I'll ask it to actually give me the list of distinct IPs, because it doesn't look like it's giving me that distinct IDs because it's telling me that there is no data aggregation happening. And then I can also ask it to optimize the search, right? So now it's calling multiple tools, and then it'll generate that response for me. So again, it's calling that run personalization data tool. It's using that tool to get that information. And so it's able to fill in the right index name. The previous original query did not have the index. It also optimized it. It used, and again, the previous query did not have the distinct. So now it's using the stats. It's giving me the unique IPs. So it's just some examples of how this agentic response generation happens in practice. Going back to the slide content, and then what's coming next. So one thing that I am personally very excited about is that all of this agentic response generation frameworks allows us to now make the AI assistant a lot more better with a lot more agility. And what it means is we can just keep adding more tools, and it just has a lot more tools in its arsenal to respond to SPLs. So one tool that we are purposefully building is this SPL editing. I showed some of this now, but we're actually making it even better because we heard from a lot of customers that a common use case is for customers to find an SPL from an existing dashboard and then maybe modify it during an investigation because it doesn't do exactly what they're looking for. So it'll have even better SPL editing capabilities. One other thing that's, if you've used any of the MCP clients or agentic applications, it's not just about pulling in the data. It's not just doing research. A true agentic application should be able to perform actions. And in our case, one action could be to actually do some real-time validation of the search, right? So if we accidentally put a field name that doesn't exist in a specific index and source type, we would actually go and do this real-time validation and figure out if something's missing and fix the query before the user has to fix it. So there'll be a lot more real-time validation, which again will improve the quality of the execution much better. In agentic applications, there's this concept of a memory. And what memory is, both at the individual level and at the organization level, it's something to learn what your specific preferences are. So think of this as personalization V2, where we actually learn both implicitly and explicitly what your individual and organizational preferences are. So let's say you have in your organization, you always like to use a macro to select indexes, and you would like the AI assistant to always use macros when it generates these index selection macros when it generates an SPL. These are things that the AI assistant could learn from your examples, but then also you could explicitly tell it. And we almost sometimes refer to it as teach AI. So an admin or an expert user in your organization can actually go and teach the AI, and then that teaching can be transferred to novice users. So you don't have to maintain Confluence pages or these best practices in a doc somewhere. You can just teach the AI, and AI should be able to follow these preferences through its memory feature. Very excited for this upcoming feature. And then advanced semantic planning is even more like what I showed earlier. Think of a lot more tools, a lot more dynamic planning in this execution. So we should be able to handle a lot more complex use cases. All of these are coming in early next year, and we're very excited about this. And again, I'll plug it again. If you, based on this, what you've heard today, if you can think of other ideas that you think the AI assistant should be doing that will make it more effective for your organization, please go to ideas.splunk.com and make these suggestions, because as I mentioned, we have a lot of people working on this now who are making it better, and we have the right framework in place to make this AI system significantly better. So we would appreciate all of your ideas and thoughts. Koti, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mohit, for that demonstration and a look at what's coming down the pipeline. So before we get into the Q&A portion real fast, just wanted to also take this opportunity to list out a couple of recent resources for folks. As a heads up, all of the items you see listed here, the blog, the product tour, the FAQ, all the general documentation, the links to all these will be available in a follow-up email you'll receive after this tech talk. But wanted to also say, if you recall at the beginning of this whole presentation, we had a lot of folks that said they had never actually used AI Assist for SPL before. So the great news is you can very easily try this out for yourself now. If you go to the Splunk-based link you see linked above, which again, this link will also be provided in the follow-up email, you can go there, and then as you go through the process for downloading, you'll receive a quick specialized end user license agreement that will cover some of the things around data usage, and you'll only be able to access this if you have a Splunk.com account. Once you've signed that, you'll be able to access the AI assistant in about 3 to 4 business days, where you'll get an email to notify you how to install everything. So again, we encourage you, whether you're a new user, maybe a returning user, give it a chance, try it out, let us know what you think. As we've already talked about a couple of times, let us know what you think back on the community side of things on Splunk Ideas. We, again, obviously love hearing feedback from all of our users and letting us know what they like, what they want to see, what they want to see improved. So that is it for resources. So now we're going to move into the QA portion. And Mohit, I hope you're ready. We got a lot of great questions here.
Yep, very ready.
So let me start. Is there a charge to use this AI?
No, AI assistant for SPL is fully free. All these existing capabilities are free for you to use, and even better, we actually pay for all of the GPU infrastructure for this, so you don't even have to pay for that. Again, I think Cody, I know what the next question is going to be, so maybe I'll just wait my horse. Yeah, hold my horses until then.
Well, I'll go ahead and ask the next question. Next up, we have is the limited learning model embedded within Splunk now, or do we have to download it separately?
So it is a separate app. So you, like Cody mentioned, you'll have to go to the Splunk base, download this app. We are constantly making it better and reducing the frictions. But yes, as of now, it's a separate app, and you can install it free of charge.
Your audio may have cut out a little bit there. I'm not sure if that was me or not.
Oh, apologies. Yeah, it's a separate app. You'll have to go to Splunk base to install it. We are trying to make it more seamless in the future, but yes, as of now, you would have to install the app from Splunk base.
Another popular question we've been getting is this available for FedRAMP on Splunk Cloud?
So FedRAMP is on the roadmap. It is coming very shortly, but yes, it's in the works and will be available on FedRAMP moderate environments soon.
Okay, another question we're seeing here. Are these tools similar to what is used in the MCP? I ask because MCP has some limitations, and I'd like to know more.
So the MCP server has a lot of tools, and some of those tools are around just foundational Splunk platform capabilities. And these include things like go and execute a search or retrieve knowledge objects. But in addition to those tools, all of the AI assistant capabilities like natural language to SPL generation or optimization of SPL are also exposed as tools in the MCP server. So I would say that the MCP server set of tools is actually a superset of the capabilities that the AI assistant for SPL has.
Another question we've got here, and this may be something we have coming in the future potentially, but have you thought about including embeddings based on what the queries we use are within safe searches or alerts?
Yeah, great question. So as right now, as part of the personalization feature, AI Assistant does learn from previous searches that were executed on that environment. But you're absolutely right. Indirectly, we do look at those searches. One thing that we are planning to make this improvement on is actually get the annotation from the saved search and the dashboard. For if there are SPLs in dashboard, for example, we can get the title of the panel and descriptions there. So we do plan to include those things. As of now, it does learn from the SPLs, but it's not learning the annotated data from those saved searches and dashboards. And this is something that we plan to fix soon.
Another question we have here. Is the agent an in-house model from Splunk, or is it running off other models like OpenAI, Google, et cetera?
Yeah, good question. So I think one key concept here is that the AI assistant can now use multiple models depending on what prompt was sent to it. So for the most of the prompts, our own in-house model, which is hosted in the Splunk infrastructure, will be good enough, and we'll be able to just use that. For certain more complex prompts, we will leverage the models hosted outside of Splunk, but only if the administrator gives us the permission to use those models. So this is in the settings that I shared earlier. It's called model runtime. And when you go to the settings of the AI assistant, you can turn it on or off there. And by the way, just a plug, if you were at Conf, you probably heard about this announcement about machine GPT. We are training a lot of new foundation models on machine data, and as and when they are available. So actually the time series foundation model is already available on Hugging Face. We are building more models. As they come along, AI Assistant will be able to use those models as well.
All right, another question we have here. When you enable personalization for Splunk AI Assistant to return more relevant SPL, does any organizational metrics or data leave the organization?
So good question. So as I mentioned, we are not actually collecting the data, we are collecting the metadata, so the data about your data. So what we're collecting as part of personalization is what kind of indexes you have, what source types are in these indexes, the field names, how these indexes are used in the previous searches, and we aggregate all of this information and put it in a vector database. Vector database is nothing but a regular database, but it allows us to do a semantic search instead of a SQL type search on that database. Now, this vector database for personalization is hosted in Splunk Cloud Services. So technically, it's outside of your deployment. But this instance of this vector database for your stack is independent or separate from another stack's vector database. So there's no mixing of data that's happening. It's we are honoring your data boundary. It's in the same region where your stack is located, and we're not mixing in one stack's vector database with another stack's vector database. And this environment has PCI and SOC 2 compliance to prove that we are doing all of these things. And this is for cloud. And I know there were some questions earlier, Cody, I thought you'll ask me that question too. But yeah, AI Assistant is available to both Splunk Cloud and Splunk Enterprise customers. It's generally available to both. So for Splunk Enterprise customers, the way it works is it's through something called Cloud Connected. So it's a hybrid cloud model where when you install the AI Assistant, it shows you some onboarding steps. One of the onboarding steps is that you can select whichever cloud region you want to use just for the AI services. So your data actually just stays on-prem, but the AI services, the GPU, the vector database will be in the Splunk cloud region, which you select. You can select which region works for you during the onboarding step. So hope I answered your question. It's not your actual customer data, it's the metadata about your data, and it's stored in a safe, compliant place where we're not mixing your data with someone else's data, and we're not using that data to train a model. We are only using that data to improve the relevance of the response for a prompt.
And thank you there also, Mohit. You answered another question that we were getting a lot of about general availability between on-prem and cloud with that. Next question, how does the personalization learn which indexes I'm interested in?
Yeah, again, good question. So the way it works is when we collect this metadata about your data, we get this list of indexes, source types, and whatnot. We try to, and we create descriptions for all of this metadata. And the way we create these description is basically to we try to infer what this index might be for. And the way we try to learn this is by looking at how this index was used in other searches that were executed on that stack. And then what type of source types are present in this index and what fields are present. So we look at the data that's present in the index and then how it's being used. And we use large language models to generate descriptions for these things. And then when the prompt comes during the retrieval augmented generation step, we take the prompt and we try to do a semantic match of, for this prompt, which indexes, source types, and field names might be relevant. And that's how we pull it. There's a lot of hyperparameter tuning in this. For example, we do a top K pull. How many indexes should we pull from here? How many source types should we pull? If you have personalization turned on. And by the way, we also have a public knowledge base that we have created for general spell knowledge. So we pull some knowledge from there. We pull some knowledge from your personalization data. So there's a lot of hyperparameter tuning that goes there to improve the retrieval process.
Alrighty, thank you for that answer. Another question we have here, is this AI capable of creating ITSI complex KPI-based searches?
I think it should. Honestly, I think this is my own, when I use AI Assistant day in, day out, the more complex the use case, in my experience, if you give it a good descriptive prompt, it really depends on the quality of the prompt in some cases. So if you have a complex use case, I would suggest if you're not getting the good response, give a follow-up prompt, maybe try to be a little bit more descriptive. And this is true not just for Splunk AI Assistant for SPL, but any Gen AI tool that you might be using. The more complex your ask is, it helps if the prompt is also more descriptive.
All right, next question. Will there be an AI assistant for suggesting improvements in TAs? For example, things like props.conf mappings, if the new ingested technology is mapped to file hash, but we may use file hash as a field for all other text. Could it then suggest somewhere to actually change it?
I think this would be a great idea to submit on ideas.splunk.com. So I highly encourage it. It doesn't do it today, but if you want us to work on this, please go and submit this idea. I really like it.
Another one that's based more on availability and usage here for you. I cannot, sorry, my questions refreshed there for a second. Let me get back to that one. I apologize.
While you're looking it up, Cody, maybe I'll answer a couple of questions that
Sure.
I saw earlier. So one was around, will this be available to customers who are in an environment which is not connected to the internet? So for an air gap environment, there is going to be a preview so right now, as I mentioned earlier, AI Assistant is generally available to cloud and enterprise customers. For enterprise customers, it's available through Cloud Connected. If you want a truly on-premise offering where none of the inferencing goes outside your deployment, there is a preview that I think is happening. It's called AI tier, where we can provision all of the AI infrastructure on your deployment. So that preview is starting now and will be GA'd in the future. And then one other question I did see was, will it know SPL 2? So right now the AI assistant only knows SPL 1, and we do plan to support SPL 2 by the end of, in the coming 2 quarters, we would have support for SPL 2.
All right, thank you for answering those. I was finally able to get my questions back up here. We have some users that are also trying to use this via Docker on Mac. We may have to just reach out separately if you're having some specific issues on that. The question here was, I'm having trouble making this work with Splunk Enterprise Docker image on MacBook M4 systems. This may be a CPU-related problem. So this may be one of those things, if you're having an issue with usage in that environment, please reach out to some of our team directly, and we might be able to help you work through the issue you're having on that one.
And I wonder if that question was for the MCP server. But yeah, to Cody's point, please reach out through the regular support channels and we can help you figure it out.
Another question we have here. Are there any plans for implementing admin reporting on general usage patterns or information related to the AI assistant, ideally for things like user enablement?
Sorry, Cody, my audio cut out for a second. Can you please repeat that question?
Oh, sure thing. Are there any plans for implementing admin reporting on general usage patterns or information related to the AI assistant for things like user enablement?
This is a great question, and I wish I'd added a slide. So this is already available. If you go to Cloud Monitoring Console, there is already an AI usage dashboard. If you are you're on the latest version of CMC, so we are already reporting who's using the AI assistant for SPL, what are they using it for, and yeah, you should have the reporting that you need. If you have, if you want more reporting, if you have feedback, again, please give us that feedback through ideas.splunk.com, and we'll add that. In addition to that, we also are logging everything in the audit index, so you can also query that audit index to see who used the AI assistant for what.
We're getting close to time, but we have a couple of other questions I'll throw out here. Are there any prompt engineering courses for SPL that are available on Splunk?
I think that's a great ask. What I could offer today is we have a lot of great Lantern articles right now that describe the use cases and what you can use it for. But I will take that action item. I think that's a great suggestion. We'll probably try to improve the suggested prompts that we have, and maybe, so yeah, if you're interested in chatting with me about it, please reach out, and happy to have a follow-up call.
Last question here. Maybe you missed it, but is AI Assistant roles-based access?
Yes, so the AI Assistant for SPL, I think maybe there are 2 parts to it. You can control who has access to AI Assistant through Splunk's RBAC processes. That is allowed just like any other Splunk app. But if the question is it honoring the RBAC on the data? Yes, that's also a yes, because when we generate the SPL, we look at if you have personalization turned on, we do look at what data this user has access to, and we only use those indexes and source types in the SPL.
All right, we do have a few other questions. However, as we're coming up on time here, I'll just let folks know. For those we didn't get a chance to answer your questions, we'll be sure to reach out to you with some answers on that. So again, thank you for everyone for actually submitting these questions. A lot of great ones there this afternoon. So as we mentioned, we, again, always want to hear more from our customers and users. So as we've talked about several times before, if you have a really interesting idea or things that you really want to see in future versions of Splunk AI Assistant for SPL, let us know over on Ideas. And then I mentioned earlier that I had one other thing I was going to say about Splunk MCP. But if you enjoyed this tech talk, near the end of January coming up here, we're going to have another tech talk, which is going to be more MCP focused. So much like how we did more of a technical deep dive into this release for AI Assistant for SPL, if you want to learn more about what's coming for Splunk MCP and the Agentic AI machine data without limits, please be sure to join us for this tech talk coming up in January. And then just, again, want to say thank you, everyone, for joining us this afternoon. If you would, please give us your feedback in a survey that's going to appear shortly after this. Mohit, do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share, or any parting words for the audience?
No, thank you all for taking the time. And we are always available, like Cody mentioned. Please provide your feedback. If you want to have a follow-up call with me, if you have deeper feedback about the product or ideas, please reach out to your sales team, like the solutions engineer, and we'll set up a follow-up call as well. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.